For American fans of the Super Nintendo that were into pro wrestling games, we got the raw end of the deal in America. While the Japanese market got releases like the Fire Pro series, we were stuck with Royal Rumble, WWF Raw, and WWF It was heartbreaking to be a fan in this era. Yes, there were games like WrestleMania the arcade game and stuff like that that had an arcade feel, but as wrestling fans, we wanted a real simulation feel to our wrestling game. I clearly remember the day I was in the video store with my parents and I glanced over and saw the box art to the game we're going to take a look at today, released in 1993 by Capcom for the Super Nintendo. This is Saturday Night Slam Masters. Also known as Muscle Bomber the Body Explosion, Saturday Night Slam Masters featured artwork by famed Japanese artist Tetsuo Hara, famous for the Fists of the North Star. The game did have a sequel called Ring of Destruction, Slam Masters 2 in '94, but I've never touched that one yet. Hopefully I get to that in the future. So finally, we were graced with a game that played like a traditional wrestling game. The game used a view similar used in fighting games. The game uses a 3-button setup, a grab button, attack, and a jump button. Each character has 2 special attacks, a non-grappling technique, and a finisher. With a life bar that reaches all the way down, you can either be pinned or forced to submit, just like in real wrestling. Defeating all the other wrestlers results in winning a title belt, and then they must defend it against the entire roster, kinda like the arcade mode in WrestleFest, which was a great wrestling game but never saw a port, of course. Now, while wrestling games today have rosters that feature over 100 characters, at the time having a roster of this size with 10 actual playable characters was a pretty big deal and a pretty big roster. The remaining 2, Jumbo and Scorpion, are non-playable boss characters in single match and are only selectable in the Team Battle Royal. In the English localization, Capcom changed the names of all the characters and modified much of their backstories. The diverse cast of wrestlers include Biff Slamkovich, Gunlock, The Great Oni, Titanic Tim, El Stingray, Macho Mike Hager, who we all recognize from the Final Fight series and is actually his initial debut as far as canon and story, King Rostamon, Jumbo Flapjack, and the Scorpion as said before. Alexander the Greater is blatantly ripped off from former professional wrestler Big Van Vader. I mean, it's almost identical and there's no getting around who they were copying. The gameplay is tight as you would expect from a Capcom game of the era. Double tap to the left or right to dash to perform clotheslines, which is one of your most valued attacks you can use in the game. The game did have use of the multi-tap on the Super Nintendo and was actually released on the Sega Genesis, but for the true best version of this game, as usual, stick with the SNES. This is Hibiki QUICKIE, one of the greatest overlooked wrestling games of all time. Have a great holiday, guys. Thanks for making 2015 such a great year for me here. I hope you have a great one, and I'll see you after the new year. Oh yeah, go play this game! Hey guys, thanks for checking out the channel. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below if you like what you've seen so far. There's tons of video game music, retro reviews, and Hibiki history still to come. Also, if you're hip to the Twitter machine, you can follow me on Twitter and the Hibiki TMD Facebook group. Thanks again for stopping by.